if when you look at Xavi from a distance, he doesn't give you the impression he's a footballer. You know, he's kind of short, kind of stout. I'd say he looks more like a businessman working office hours from 9 to 5, but thankfully that hasn't been the case. Thankfully he has become one of the world's best midfielders, and as any football fan would say, Xavi is the core and the soul of a team. He has been a vital component to the success of Spain and Barcelona's rise to the top over the past decade or so. He has been a magician, which aura has been as infectious as potent, and for Barca it was a pivotal factor towards all their modern status as an elite club. Yet in recent years after his departure, the side has rapidly fallen downhill. The task of seeking 1, a replacement for the recently mentioned, and 2, a manager competent enough to make the pieces all fit in the right place, it seems that Xavi's presence at Barcelona needs to be reinstated now more than ever. With new presidential elections for Barcelona and imminent change on the horizon, I believe it's worthwhile now more than ever to recall Xavi's amazing story, not only to just find how good he was, but also why it's more important to have him present in this next rebuild. Join us today as we learn about Barcelona's greatest legend in the story of Xavi Hernandez. Born in 1980 in the district of Terrassa in Barcelona, Catalonia, Xavi was, as we all know, the product of Barcelona's 𝗯𝐶ie Youth Academy. However, in contrast to other players like Sergi Roberto, Gerard Piqué or even Andrés Iniesta, he joined the ranks at a relatively older age at 11. His father, who was a player at Sabadell, instilled his passion in the young Xavi of football. Scouts from FC Barcelona themselves, at request from the father, which had contacts within the club to make it possible, sought the young Xavi Hernandez and offered him a trial at the age of 10, which by the way he absolutely smashed, and then he finally entered on July of 1991 the Youth Academy. Xavi explained how he immediately noticed his future coach, Pep Guardiola, looking at himself in the mirror in that way. His progression was so meteoric that actually Guardiola himself, watching a youth game alongside teammates from the first team, he had to simply mention, you know what, this kid, he's going to retire us one day. His predisposition to learn new things, the maturity that radiated from such a young age, and the quality of simply football that he played led him to finally in 1997-1998 in that season join Barcelona B, where he immediately became the brain of the team. A team in which Xavi not only commanded but also organized. He scored fairly easy coming in from deep with unexpected arrivals into the area, and also his mastery in just simply launching fouls to stop any sort of counterattacks make him a crucial player for Los Juveniles. In the following season, he alternated his performances with Barcelona B and the first team, for which the latter he debuted on August the 18th of 1998 with Dutch coach Louis van Gaal in the final of the 𝗯𝐶𝘀𝗶𝗲 against Real Mallorca, where not only he started but also scored a goal in the process. However, if you didn't know already, there's a dispute regarding his official debut for Barcelona. This is because actually Xavi appeared first in a match in the Supercopa Catalunya against Liga on the 5th of May of 1998. Anyhow, regardless of whatever debut you want to consider, Van Gaal made his debut in the league possible on the 3rd of October of that same year at Mestalla against Valencia, who fell defeated 1-3. His intermittent performances with the first team gave wings to a bogus Barcelona side that occupied the 10th position of the table, until Xavi scored a decisive goal that gave the victory to his team in the field of Valladolid. Thanks to that performance, Barcelona just traced with a spectacular runs of results, so much so that they will go onwards to win La Liga in 1998-1999. Xavi finished his debut season with 26 matches played and being named the 1999 La Liga Breakthrough Player of the Year. In that same year, Xavi was consolidated, convincing with his endless passing capabilities and a matured game sense for his attitude. For the Spain's youth setup, he translated his form impeccably, garnishing a debut to La Total on the 15th of November in a game against the Netherlands. Past the turn of the century, Barcelona was on the verge of bankruptcy, if you didn't know, and struggling to keep its place in La Liga's elite. With Guardiola's departure to Calcio, Xavi became the disputed starter with both Van Gaal and the subsequent coaches, Carles Reixaert, Radomir Antic, and Frank Rijkaard. Some of these struggles could be down to him playing in the midfield, yes, but in a more defensive role indeed. But needless to say, Xavi was still influential, making 20 assists and scoring 7 goals in those 2 seasons, with the cherry on top being that on the 16th of March of 2000, he scored his first goal in a Clásico against Real Madrid. Fast forwarding a few seasons from then, Xavi was named the vice-captain in the 2004-2005 season, in which he helped Barcelona win La Liga and the 2004 Supercopa de España. Xavi had a hard time during that year, but like he does always, he defeated those odds and cemented his place in the first team. Despite all the big names and the big signings, it was Xavi who won La Liga Player of the Year award in 2005, and yet the world began to hear his name. Xavi was now in the headlines. Injuries struck Xavi during the latter half of the 2005-2006 season. He tore his ligaments of his left knee during a training session and was out of action for 4 months. And indeedly, he returned successfully from that, but only to be benched for the final in the Champions League of 2006 against Arsenal. At this stage of his career, Xavi had it all: a winner in the Champions League, multiple La Liga titles, Copa del Rey, Supercopa de España, but yet he had to make a name for himself truly, something which it wouldn't take him long. 2008 was probably the year where Xavi faced the hardest time within his team. Many big names were turning in the heat, and the ego war was ever so present. But the summer of 2008 was also the happiest moment in his career. Without the title of the European Champions of 2008, in which Xavi exploited to the maximum his qualities as a midfielder, he probably would have not occupied the first pages of the press for years to come, like he can simply do now. Spain's national team had not tasted any sort of success or victory for the past 44 years at that time, but things were going to change. Xavi hit a goal past Russia in the semi-finals, and then he assisted Fernando Torres to score the winning goal against Germany to help Spain lift the cup. Xavi was voted the Euro 2008 Player of the Tournament, and overnight, he became a national hero. Soon after, Xavi spoke to Bayern Munich about a transfer, but the newly appointed Barcelona coach Pep Guardiola convinced him that he was too important for the side. With that, and with the best moments of the tournament, the 2008-2009 season was still reserved for an even better destination, a higher plate of fulfillment. Together with Andres Iniesta, they became the organization of the game of FC Barcelona, in without a doubt was the best season in the history of the club. Xavi was crucial for El Triplete, the treble, scoring the 4th goal through a free kick in the 4-1 victory in the 2009 Copa del Rey final against Atletico de Bilbao. And in La Liga, you know what, with one of the most significant games of that century, the 6-2 El Clásico victory over Real Madrid on the 2nd of May of that same year, where Xavi assisted 4 goals! 4 goals! Once to Carles Puyol, once to Thierry Henry, and twice to Lionel Messi. Xavi then helped Barcelona win the 2009 Champions League final against Manchester United 2-0, with the second goal being assisted by him in a cross attempt to Messi for a header. Xavi then was voted for the UEFA Champions League Best Midfielder for his contribution to Barcelona's victorious 2008-2009 Champions League victory, but only he was bested by Messi for the Best Player award. Xavi's role as a captain here also started to develop, although he'd only donned the armband thrice in the 2008-2009 season, but his influence was more apparent than it had ever been. It was at that time where Xavi had taken the debuting Sergio Busquets under his wings, providing the central steel around which other players could then function to their highest of levels. After that incredible season, Xavi earned a vested contract, making him one of the highest earners in the entire club with a salary of over 7.5 million a year. In the 2009 and 2010 seasons, he added his 5th league title to its record, after a very intense competitions where Football Club Barcelona and Real Madrid reached vertiginous records in both goals and points, winning 31 of 38 matches played. After the club season, the 2010 World Cup in South Africa would give Xavi the last title left to win. Despite a disappointing defeat against Switzerland in the group stages, the first of their matches, the Spanish national team trained by Vicente del Bosque remained faithful to their tiki-taka style of football, and Xavi, next to his other midfielders like Iniesta, Busquets, Xabi Alonso and Cesc Fabregas, chained victory one after another to defeat Germany in the semi-finals and the Netherlands in the final. For the first time ever, after decades without passing quarters, Spain was proclaimed the champion. That year in 2010, Xavi was one of the three finalists in the 2010 FIFA Ballon d'Or and finished third in the vote behind his Barcelona teammates Lionel Messi and Andres Iniesta. Moreover, he narrowly defeated Messi to win the Player of the Year award from the World Soccer magazine. At this point in his career, he had already been one of the most capped players for Barcelona and, needless to say, a leader for Spain. Xavi truly had reached all the heights that there were to see in football, but did that affect his hunger? Was his hunger for success and football ever going to die? Jumping ahead in time till 2014, after a chastising exit in the group stages of the 2014 World Cup, Xavi was close to announcing his retirement, a decision he said was actually well studied. Much like 2008, he was left to reconsider his future at the club, but this time around it was Luis Enrique which managed to do that. If you remember correctly, Luis Enrique diplomatically let the team decide who would lead them. The result was a four-way tie, with Xavi, Iniesta, Messi and Busquets all being named co-captains. Despite this and the fact that Iniesta, Rakitic and Busquets were the preferred starting trio, Xavi was left to take the mantle of captain more often than not, and in the 22 games that he started, Barcelona only lost twice. That is why his influence was never tainted. There isn't one particular moment, a one goal, a one match that stands out, but above all the other reasons that there could be, he was excellent every single minute that he played. Whatever the moment came for him to be on that pitch, he used that to build the base for everyone around him. And no matter, no fact highlights that more than ever, Barcelona's trophy haul that season was because of him, of that solely reason. By the end of the 2014-2015 season, Barca achieved the treble, and Xavi's second. As fairy tale exits go, it probably doesn't get better than this. It wasn't a question of rising up when it mattered, because it always mattered for Xavi, a quiet leader who led by example, raising everyone's game without having to raise a finger, a proper magician. The final act of magic that was Xavi and his story is the baton that reminds us of the intangibles in football that we can always believe in. Hidden behind the statistics and the beautiful goals, the headline moments, Xavi is a clock that doesn't stop. He's a player that never asks for more. He's a humble footballer that was always going to give his best. He is a man. He is a leader. He is simply magic and no trick. With that, Xavi finally left Barcelona in 2015, moved to Qatar and started his coaching career. Xavi played there under the scorching heat of Qatar for 4 more years, and on the 2nd of May of 2019, Xavi announced that he would be retiring from professional football at the end of the season. With the Spanish legend winning 4 trophies so far as manager of Al Salat in Qatar, it remains to be seen when his return to Barcelona will happen. But one thing is certain, the whole world of football will be there to witness for when it does.